radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game Changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Welcome, Fade to Black. Bespoke radio for the masses. Yeah, man. Today is May 2nd, Wednesday. 122 days into the new year, just 243 days left. We are live from a bunker somewhere in downtown Burbank, California, and I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States. Hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? How you doing? Tonight, very special guest, Michaela Sheldon is here. The message to humanity. Yeah, I can't wait. She's great. She's amazing. Tomorrow night's another Fader Night with John Rappaport and his No More Fake Newsroom Live. Call-in numbers are 323-825-5045 or 323-275-9695. All right. Follow us on Twitter at JChurchRadio. You can head over to On Stellar. We'll have links up for that here real soon. We're still in the alpha stage. We'll have to go back and change the links. We're going to be in the beta here in about a week and so forth. But for the time being, follow us on Twitter at JChurchRadio. I have the feeling, Twitter hasn't offended me. I have a feeling, even though there's going to be some things in On Stellar that are going to be very Twitter-ish, right? But Twitter hasn't offended me, and I like Jack Dorsey. But the rest of the world out there is crap when it comes to social media. So anyway, On Stellar, and I don't have the links up for that yet, but we will. We do have a Game Changer page up, and we've got a Fade to Black page up. And, of course, myself and Rita are over there, and there's a bunch of Fadernauts hanging out, and a couple of Fadernaut pages, and a Fade to Black unofficial page. I saw that. So all of that is over there. There's thousands of people hanging out over in On Stellar right now. Okay, you can also email throughout the show, Jimmy at jimmychurchradio.com. And just make it good, and I will read it on the air. And so I was just talking about On Stellar. Today is the 8th day of the On Stellar alpha testing, and it's amazing. It's just amazing. And for me, I keep saying this, it's going to be a really, really big deal. But, to go and hang out with friends and to message and to comment and to get all of that going in the groups and the posting and all of that is going on and trending and articles and things, to do all of that without advertising in your face is amazing. It's just an invitation to hang out and and stay and make friends. It is just so cool. Yes, we all knew it was going to be big and huge and take over everything because it had to. It was the right place at the right time for something like this. And here we go. What are the alternatives? What are the alternatives? Right? And so this is built for you. Right? And all of the subjects and everything. And this is the brilliant thing. If you're out there doing research, and there's something that you dig, write your article. That's it. Write your article. Get it posted. Get it trending. That's all you have to do. You can get your ideas out there, and you can engage. One of the things, I'm going to talk about this more in a little bit. One of the things, and you go back to Field of Dreams, and that famous line from the movie, build it and they will come. It's the same thing with you and the things that interest you. Believe it or not, and all you have to do is let people know that you're around. Believe it or not, there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people out there that think and appreciate what you do and what you research. And the internet is available for you to go and connect with them. And now we have OnStellar. So whatever it is that you want to write an article on, whatever it is that write the article. It's that simple. Pop in a title, write the article, maybe a picture or two, insert those, put a cover photo on it. It's all easy to do. You have typefaces and fonts and size. You can make it look as pretty as you want, and then post. You've just exposed yourself to everybody. And you're going to find people that resonate with you. Think about that. Without any advertising, without any psyops going on. There is no data mining, none of that. So think about that, okay? It's one of the coolest parts about this. Now, having a word editor built in, a text editor built in to the website. There is going to be video channels coming very soon. Yes, we are working on chat. We are working on chat with live video. How about that? These are all things that are going to be implemented in the days and weeks ahead. So this is only alpha testing. And we have so many components that are ready to go and get plugged in, but we've got to make sure that everything works and is bug-free, because very soon, in about a month, we're going for it, right? Okay. Can you write an article on Jimmy Church and Eddie Van Halen? You absolutely can. And if you want, you can write me, Scott, send me the questions, I'll answer them, and then you can put that in the article. Think about that for a second. Yeah, OnStellar. It's absolutely amazing. Very easy to register. Now, we made it complicated to register at first. We didn't want everybody flooding into the site. All right. We wanted people to go through a registration process, and we wanted some exclusivity there. And those that registered early would be able to go and alpha test now and invited in. Now you can just go to onstellar.alpha.com. It's that simple. I'm sorry, alpha.onstellar.com. And you can go and register now. You don't need a referral code. You never needed one before, but now it's not even there for you. And that may be implemented again in the future. There's reasons for that. But nonetheless, it's very simple. So go. Did Eddie really wax his pickups? Yes, of course. Everybody waxes their pickups. You don't wax your pickups? He melted a few of his pickups trying to wax them. Now, in case you guys are wondering what we're talking about, guitar pickups, they're wound with copper wire. And a copper wire will vibrate and cause feedback, right? So what they figured out in the 50s, so you take the pickup and you would dip it in wax and let it sit there for a second. before the plastic and everything melted. But anyway, you put it in there, and the wax would go in and get between the copper wires and stop them from vibrating. That's right. That's a fact. Everybody waxed their own pickups, if you could figure that out. You guys are wondering where I am going with this. Okay, so OnStellar, it's alpha.onstellar.com. Rita, if you could, here it is right here. Okay, boom, done. I'm going to retweet this. There's your links. It's that simple. That's all you got to do. Click on that. I just posted it up there for you. Click on that. Head straight over, right? And it's very clear here. You can now register for OnStellar. Just go to, right? Oh, I posted it twice. But anyway, you get it. It's right there. Okay, onstellar.com. Everybody's hanging out over there. It's just so much fun. Okay, our next event is coming up. I can't believe it. I say it every night, but it's right on top of us now. It's 3 weeks away, which is Contact in the Desert in Indian Wells, Palm Springs at the Renaissance Resort and Spa. Click on the links over at Jimmy Church Radio. It's that simple. Click on the link and go to contactinthedesert.com. And you can look at all of the events. It's 4 straight days of just so much fun and knowledge. It's all going on there at the Renaissance Resort and Spa. Go and look who is speaking. It's just amazing. And all of the hotel rooms, the events. There is an awards dinner. There is the magic show on Saturday night. I'll be hosting that too as well. So everything is listed in the schedule. You can go check it out right now. And then right after that, which is August 9th through the 12th, is Soul Tech up at the ECETI Ranch. That is August 9th through the 12th. You can go to soultechgathering.com for tickets and info there. Again, only selling 300 tickets. 300 Fadernauts are going to be there. Michaela Sheldon on the show with us tonight will be there. Okay? Now, go soultechgathering.com. The links are over at jimmychurchradio.com. Don't forget our podcast. I think we have 845 archive shows right there. Just $2 a month. Click on the podcast banner. You can also become a Fadernaut, an official Fadernaut in our membership section on the site where you get the Bunker Cam, commercial-free, downloadable archives. Let's see. Kerr and I are going. However, wifeys are the chaperones. Oh, you're talking about Contact in the Desert. Oh, that's cool. Kerr Smith's going to be there. So is Scott T. Richards. It's going to be a lot of fun. You guys need to come and hang out with us. Don't forget all of our sponsors, Life Change Tea, GetTheTea.com, River Moon Coffee, New Pharma, Ancient Life Oil, Sacred Skulls, New Mana Food Storage, and Bearing Optics. Let's get this show cracking. Happy birthday to today. Engelbert Humperdinck is 82. That's right. Please release me, let me go. What a great song. And then, that was his first hit. And, he is definitely one of the great crooners of all time. But he had another hit in the 70s, and it was called, I can hear it in my head right now, After the Lovin'. Right? Is that the name of the song? Oh, somebody help me out. I think it's called After the Lovin'. That was a good tune. That thing dominated the airwaves. Happy birthday, Engelbert Humperdinck. Our dead guy's birthday today. I'm going to say this. Probably the original king of the power chord and distortion. The king, Link Wray, 1929 to 2005, died at the age of 76. And it was his band, Link Wray and his Raymen. Now, his hit song, Rumble, you can hear it in Pulp Fiction, first off. But when you go and listen to Rumble, what you need to understand is that song came out in 1958 with that attitude and that sound, because it is modern today. right? Now, he was ranked number 45 on Rolling Stone's list of the 100 greatest guitarists of all time. Should have been higher. But in 1958, that first hit, Rumble, was banned in New York and Boston for fear it would incite teenage gang violence. It was after the Lovin'. I was right on that? Okay. You guys are listening. Power chords, no AC/DC. No. Let me tell you something. Link Wray was that cool. Without Link Wray, I don't think Jimmy Page would have learned how to play guitar. And that is nuts. Link Wray influenced everybody. And when you go and those power chords in from Rumble that are in Pulp Fiction, it changes the tone of those scenes. And unless you knew it was Link Wray, it doesn't even matter. It's like it was written for Pulp Fiction. It was so cool. All right, now, you can go right now, look up Link Wray, Rumble, and go and watch those original clips from 58 and 59 and wrap your head around that. What was going on in 1958? Everything but that song, Rumble. Link Wray changed the world. All right. On this day in history, OTD in 1960. The modern version of the Loch Ness Monster is born. That's right. Oh, 1933, by the way, not 1960. 1960. Got Link Wray on the brain. Because it was on that day, on this day in 1933, when a sighting makes local news on May 2nd, 1933. The newspaper Inverness Courier, right, relates an account of a local couple who claimed to have seen an enormous, they wanted to use the word ginormous, but it wasn't accepted in 33, but a ginormous animal rolling and plunging on the surface of Loch Ness on this day in 1933. Now, there are a lot out there when they think of Loch Ness, they know the history and the reports of what is lurking in Loch Ness. It goes back hundreds and hundreds of years. But it's the modern version of the story when all of the photographs started to surface and the video and film and so forth. But it didn't happen in modern times until May 2nd, 1933. Strange, right? Fader fact. I love it when I get to this point of the show. Fader fact. All of the bacteria in our body, all of the bacteria in our bodies collected would weigh about 4 pounds. And that is your favorite fact. I want to say happy birthday to Nurse Nancy. It's her birthday today. And so, she probably has to work tomorrow. But I'm wondering, after the show tonight, are we going to go meet Nancy over at the house? I think last year on her birthday, we got plowed. Am I right about that, Rita? You got to think about leap year. Because last year, was last year Nancy's birthday on a Thursday, or is it on a Tuesday? Somebody help me out there. How does that work with leap year? Okay, because it throws everything off. So right now, today is Wednesday. Last year was May 2nd on a Tuesday, or was last year May 2nd on a Thursday? What do you mean? Rita just said, what am I talking about? Why? I'm confused. I'm confused. Okay, don't confuse me, Rita. Don't confuse me. Tonight, very special guest, Michaela Sheldon is here. And we're going to be talking about that message to humanity. Tomorrow is another Fader night with John Rappaport. Open lines all night long. The call-in numbers are 323-825-5045. or 323-275-9695. And Rita, you should look at Twitter. Yeah, check out Twitter, Rita. Rita just texted me in here and called me a moron. Read Twitter, Rita. It's right here. It's in Twitter. I'm paying attention. So let me hit this River Moon Coffee before we get Michaela in here. And I do want to... What's that? Okay. On Stellar. Unity in the community. Remember last year, I went through, with all of you, a fairly dark period for this community when there was a lot of infighting. There was some weird stuff that was going down with MUFON, and I could sit, I don't even want to recall, it's like a bad memory, but I could sit here and talk about, I had to have a community get-together show where I got everybody together to sit and talk about what was going on. Because there was all of this fighting and things that were just happening with these leaders in our community, the community itself, and the people underneath that was following. And this was going on. And now we have On Stellar. And we have pushed not only with Modern Masters and those that we have reached out to outside of, Disclosure Fest and other groups and communities outside of Fade to Black, to bring everybody together. And it doesn't matter what your beliefs are, what your experiences are, or what you've seen, or what you believe or don't believe. It's not really about that. What it is about is not, how do I say this? Not to create issues where there are none. And there seemed to be last year and leading up to it, about a year before that, a lot of this fighting. And it didn't need to occur, and I couldn't understand it. And now that we have On Stellar, we're able to once again bring in everybody in one spot where we can hang out and share ideas. And it's the one thing that it has been attempted many times online to get the paranormal, UFO, Bigfoot, whatever, history, lost history, consciousness, the community together, dreams, whatever it may be, together, and it's just never really happened, right? It's just never, it's been close, but everything has been, just kind of segmented out, and I get that. But now, with On Stellar, everybody can get together and talk. Yes, you can get your groups together. Yes, you can have a friends list. Yes, but you have the ability from one point, one starting point, which is you, to reach out and blossom in the other direction into the community. You can go and be a part of a group. You can go and do all of that, and you can just comment or do whatever you would like to do. But the messaging system and the way that it is set up, and the friends list and the groups, and the way that the trending and the posting and the articles and stuff that can be done on Stellar, it's all done for the individual user's experience. And so now we have the community, all of it together. And it doesn't matter if it's health and wellness, or it's ET, or it's abductions, or sightings, or near-death experiences, or life after death, or dreams, or the Ouija board, religion. It just doesn't matter. Lost history, Egypt, science. It's all there for everybody. And what I have noticed, and it's been very interesting, somebody said to me the other day, are flat earthers going to be allowed? Of course they are. Because On Stellar is our barbershop. Everybody this is our community. And you are able to reach out in the opposite direction. And I had said earlier in the show, and I really mean this, you need to think about it and wrap your head around it this way, because this is how it's going to hit you anyway. So I want you to go in with expectations high, which is this. You've got no psyops. You've got no commercials and ads and auto playing videos in a feed hitting you from all directions, trying to get you to spend money, which is the trick, right? So all of that gets removed. You're so used to it and so acclimated to it that you go back into this, and this UE, this user experience, now is almost a fresh one. It's a new one that you haven't experienced before, because a lot of you out there have only dealt with Facebook for the last 10 years, and you don't know about another version of the world, and it is completely removed. When you get over, we're going to be launching an entire video section on the site where you're going to be able to go and get your own little video channel and upload videos without advertising. Think about that. It is absolutely extraordinary to get that element out and your thought and your creativity and your knowledge on. You blossom, and all you want to do is be creative. All you want to do is think and research. You've got all of these sections of when you go to the trending page, you've got all of these different authors and ideas and minds out there that are creatively putting information out. And you can go and just click and go and read and not be interrupted. Again, I need to stress, there's no advertising, there's no distractions, there's no data mining, there's no attempts to get at your information, there's no attempts at any of that. It's freedom of thought. And it's back to what the internet should have been to begin with. OnStellar is that important. Unity in the community is first and foremost here. It always has been at Fade to Black. We've talked about this for years and years and years, how to get everybody together. And we've pulled it off. With the Game Changer Network and Modern Masters and everybody that we have out there that has helped us over the years putting this together, everybody that in the Fade or Not family on Twitter and also over on YouTube, this thing that we have built together, now we have this central place where we can just sit and talk. It reminds me of like a campfire where we can just sit around and chew the fat and talk and share. And literally, that's what OnStellar is about. So go now, alpha.onstellar.com. Simple, register. Right there as you register, it's going to say, hey, let's get going. Profile pic. Your profile page is going to be set up as soon as you click yo. It's really that simple. alpha.onstellar.com. All right, it's beta test. It's alpha testing. We're moving into beta testing here in just a minute. It's very exciting, and it is literally taking over the world. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Email is jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. Follow me on Twitter at jchurchradio. Hashtag F2B is the sandbox. Edgardo just said, I'm digging it. It's cool. Is there going to be an app? Yes, there will be apps for Android and Apple. Okay? It's all good. I'll talk to you. I'll be right back with our guest, Michaela Sheldon. Stay with me.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Yes, River Moon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black Blend from River Moon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Natural Health Solutions with Chris and Ronnie.
Hey, Ronnie, how you doing?
Great, Chris.
Now, you're the CEO of GetTheTea.com, right?
Yes, I am.
What is GetTheTea.com? I mean, is this tea you buy in a store?
Well, no, it's not. Life Change Tea is just that, life-changing. Life Change Tea is an herbal tea that gently cleanses your body from intruders.
What do you mean by intruders?
Well, intruders are toxins, chemicals, GMOs, heavy metals, and more. They're in our food, in our water, in our air we breathe.
Seriously?
Yeah, seriously.
And Life Change Tea will help you with removing these, as you say, intruders?
That's right, Chris.
Are there side effects with this tea?
Well, you might lose a little weight. When you clean your colon, you lose weight, you feel better, and you have more energy.
Wow. Ronnie, where can people purchase Life Change Tea?
Oh, that's easy. GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com.
Ronnie, I want to thank you for being on the show. People, don't forget, GetTheTea.com.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Win big with KGRA this summer. Tickets and hotel accommodations to the biggest conferences, autographed books and DVDs, chances to win all-inclusive conference cruises, and private dinners with your favorite KGRA hosts. Click the contest tab at kgraradio.com for your chance to win big this summer. Your contact for the best alternative talk radio on the planet. kgraradio.com.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Michaela Sheldon. She's right here. This segment of Fade to Black is proudly brought to you by Life Change Tea. That's right. Starting with their super strength tea, we use Life Change Tea products every single day here. Friends, family, co-workers, the team. The promo code is FADER, F-A-D-E-R, and you will get yourself free shipping. Click on the Life Change Tea banners over at jimmychurchradio.com. Michaela Sheldon is an intuitive channel who has the ability to connect with a variety of guides, interdimensional beings and collectives, including Mary Magdalene, archangels, Jeremiah, the ancients, the ninth dimensional Lemurian and Palladian collectives, Arcturians, the Council of Light, and many others. She channels detailed information about our history, structure, ascension, and transition to a fifth dimensional consciousness. Ms. Sheldon is also currently channeling a book that explains the history behind human creation, how we were designed to live at our soul's highest expression, and how we will heal and rebirth many aspects of our collective reality. She is the executive director of the Flower of Life Center for Human Evolution, a volunteer organization focused on raising the consciousness of the planet. In this position, she works with volunteers on a variety of projects ranging from conscious action initiatives and youth programs to the organization's International Expo and magazine. Her website is michaelasheldon.com. The links are over at jimmychurchradio.com. I'd like to welcome back to Fade to Black, Michaela Sheldon. Michaela, how are you?
I'm good, Jimmy. Thanks for having me back.
You know, you're like the most requested guest. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Well, you do now.
You blown away and honored with all of the distinctive guests that you have Ooh, that's quite a statement. Thank you.
Well, that show that we did when we introduced you was so dynamic, right? But you connected with everybody, and they didn't want that show to end. And I did nothing but field email. Okay, when is she coming back? When is she coming back? Why, you got to get Michaela back on. So here you are tonight. Now, the other thing that resulted from that is our Soul Tech conference that we're doing up at ECETI, and we started to put that together. You were the first. It was funny. I'm just going to throw Rita under the bus. Rita goes, "Do you think Michaela?" I said, yes. Well, do you think she would do it? And, and you were the first that we reached out to. And now you're going to be up there at the Soul Tech gathering up at ECETI Ranch. And I want to ask you right now, what are you going to be teaching? That's the first question. And second, are you ready for that kind of crowd? 300 Fadernauts in one place for 4 days?
Well, I'm excited. I think this is an awesome opportunity. I love what you guys are doing, the intention behind it to just ground some of this information. And that's what I love, is working with people in real time and getting together, because how many of us do that anymore? We're always remote and, connecting on social media and all these other platforms. But to get together in a space like that is pretty cool. So I'm excited about that. And I haven't been to a study yet. So when you guys asked me, that was exciting for me as well, because I have not experienced the energy. I met James. He's come out here to Detroit a couple of times, and we've worked with James, but I've never been to the ranch. So that's exciting. But, I think there's so much going on right now on the planet that we're all trying to absorb. And it's really so out there in some respects. It's talking about ascension and the grids and shifting of the poles and disclosure and all these things. But like, the question becomes, how do we apply this in our everyday lives? And that's really what I see people struggling with the most. So what I'm intending to bring is some of that information. How do we take all of this and apply it in our day-to-day reality?
Yeah, and there is a difference there, and you're right. It's one thing online, that's fine, or, your center up there in Michigan, that's another thing. But it's a whole other aspect when you get together at a big conference where you have hundreds that are there that are focused, and that dynamic has to help you too as well, right? You have to elevate your game.
Oh, it's the perfect scenario for me and what I do, because energetically, when we have people together like that, we're resonating as a one, regardless of how many different opinions we have and how unique we are. We resonate together in that space. So when you're doing something like channeling and you're bringing in that information, you're always going to complement the intentions of everyone in the space, because what the guys will do is they'll pick up those really fine lines that cross between everybody that has the same application but manifests differently. So yeah, I think being in a space like that in real time, it ups the game for everybody. It's not just me, but it brings the guidance in at a level where everyone can take something away that's personal and applies to them in a collective way.
Now, we focused the entire event to, and Soul Tech is the right word, the right words here, in that it's about yourself, your insides, your soul, and what you need to get to the next level and to help find yourself. You are we chose to have it the other way, that it was going to be teaching. And so often today, a lot of those that speak at these different conferences hold back information, or at least the audience feels like they are not getting everything, right, that they're holding back. So we wanted it to be the opposite, that we are going to give, to teach, right? When you are teaching, when you are taking that aspect, what is requested, more often than what is it that the individual comes up to you and says, you know what, I need to learn this. What do you think is the most requested curriculum, if you will?
I think the most common theme or request that I see is that people are awakening at such a fast pace and finding themselves in the midst of timelines that no longer fit. So we've been almost, these round pegs forcing ourselves into triangular holes because of what society has taught us, or these beliefs or these imprints, these patterns we've been running. And so it's hard to wake up in the midst of a reality you created that no longer fits who you are. And people are wanting to understand, how do I even uncover what I'm here to do or what my unique gifts or talents are, because they become so far removed from that truth that they want to understand how to get back there. And I think there's a false belief that it's a really difficult process.
That was my question. That is so that almost sounds intimidating to me. I appreciate somebody asking that question, but that sounds difficult, right?
And I think it sounds difficult because in our awakening, in our ascension, we've been taught that there's this one purpose that we have. There's this one thing that we're here to do. And if we're not doing it, or we haven't uncovered it, in some way we're failing, humanity.
Right.
And that's not what I find at all. In my readings and my group work, the guides that I work with will always come in and say, we came with an intention. And that intention is collective. It's not something that's stagnant. You weren't here to do something that if you don't do it, you failed. It's an evolutionary process. So everything that we're becoming is affecting everything else, and it's always moving and changing. So I guess the question is, how do we move from those old stagnant timelines and allow change without being in fear? Because that's the biggest thing that comes up, is all this fear around change. Moving myself into a new reality, uncovering a new identity. Can I make money? Can I earn a living doing what I love? These are all things that are typically evoking this fear response.
But you can do it. You can do it. It's not difficult.
Yeah, and and I'm not here to say it's easy. Right?
Right.
I don't think it's ever easy, but I certainly went through that shift in my life, complete death and rebirth of my reality, and it wasn't easy. But I will say the things that I was most in fear of were the most ridiculous things when I got to the other side of them. And if you can take that approach, that you're going to stare fear in the eye and challenge it, I think it becomes easier to step into who you're becoming next. Because I wouldn't say there's one stagnant energy that you are. There's not one imprint. It's always changing.
Stacy just tweeted this, and it's a great question. Jimmy, can you please ask her what individuals can do to best be prepared for what we will learn from her at Soltech? Are there any prerequisites? Great question.
That is a great question. I think that the only prerequisite to coming in and learning something from like a channeled interaction is just maintaining your vibration and raising your vibration to match the information. Because a lot of times we'll come into these situations wanting to uncover something very specific, right? So going back to that one thing that we're here to do, and we have a lot of resistance around that. I'm obviously not doing what I'm here to do. So in this interaction, I need to uncover what I'm here to do. And if you walk in that resistance with that preconceived notion that there's something that you need to take away, you're always going to be disappointed, because the guides are never going to come in and tell you exactly what you're here to do. So preparing your vibration means being in neutrality, being open to a wider spectrum of information that you could have imagined. Because a lot of the stuff that comes in, it's multidimensional. So it's multi-layered, it's multifaceted, and it's vibrational. So just be open to it. I don't think there's any big preparation that you need to do. But but come with some subtle intentions, to just be in the moment with what is. And what I find is if you let go of some of those preconceived notions, that resistance, it'll open you up to bigger things that you hadn't even considered that you could take away.
Now, you know what it's like to go through these transitions, or you think you do, Michaela. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Are you ready for ECETI? Do you have any idea? I know you've wondered, but do you have any idea what you are about to encounter?
I've heard so many stories. I have so many friends who have gone out there and had insane experiences. And so I'm a little, pensive, but at the same time excited because I feel like the veil is very thin for me already. So it should be interesting.
My expectations were so high. It'd been on my bucket list for years, and I was nervous with anticipation, and we flew up and then drove in, from Portland. So it just seemed like it's like when you're a kid and you've got to drive to Disneyland. It's 30 minutes away, but it seems like it takes 5 hours, right? And and so it was like that. But from the moment that we got there, and everybody that goes to ECETI for the first time, this is kind of what happens. You get there, you get out of the car, and you put your feet on the ground, and something goes right up through your legs. Mm-hmm. It's like this thing, right? And it's like, okay, what's going on here? And I'm not exaggerating with this. So anyway, and part of it is the collective, right? It's the mind collective. It's the hive mind that's going on there. Everybody is at one with themselves and connecting. So that has a lot to do with it. But the ground itself is sacred. And so that goes through you. And then from that point forward, as you walk in, it never stops. It's like this crazy thing that goes on there. And I look back, if you can imagine this, you're awake and running around for 16 hours, 14 hours, 16 hours there when you're not sleeping. And there is something going on every minute of the day, and you can't stop it. It's crazy. I don't know. I'm telling you, you need to be prepared for that. It's a difficult place to leave after you go through these things. So again, I don't know if you're ready. You've heard the story, so had I. But you get there, and it just starts from the word go. It's extraordinary. Mm-hmm. Have you ever? I don't know if I asked you this the last time you were on the show. Have you ever seen anything in the sky?
I have seen some things in the sky. Most of my experience, though, my most significant experiences are lucid travel. So I have a lot of encounters during sleep state, during meditation. I have remembrance of being on ships at specific times in my life. Even as a child, I've begun to recall some of my childhood experiences now.
Right.
That I didn't recognize or remember back then. So a lot of what I see and experience is internal as opposed to external.
Now, what are you going to do up at ECETI when you have 3 or 4 nights of 20, 30, 40 sightings a night? What are you going to do with yourself?
Oh, I think that'll be so cool. I'm interested in the vibration of that. I mean, that's got to be what you're feeling, right, when you step in there. Yeah, absolutely. I think that would be so cool to see that and be, a part of that experience. It's funny because early on when I first started this whole channeling gig, I really wasn't a fan of it. It wasn't what I wanted to do. So I had a lot of resistance. And I went through a period of time where I started to see extraterrestrials and spirit, and it really freaked me out. And I stated this very loud request, and I said, I'm happy to carry this mission forward, but I don't want to see anything, And I kind of, a couple years later, wanted to take that back, because then when I got really comfortable with everything, I was like, well, I want to see it all now, But I do think I blocked myself a little bit and just, wasn't quite ready to receive all of that information. But I do get glimpses now that I have a hard time holding on to of beings and faces, especially at night, a lot of times when I'm sleeping. But yeah, the ship energy, I would just love to connect with that in a visceral way. So yeah, I'm ready.
There's something.
I'm excited.
Yeah, and for you, you can approach it from a different mindset. For me, because this is you're channeling, and you have this communication. I don't do that. But what I do, what goes through my mind when I'm watching some crazy ship fly overhead and flash you, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, who's in there? What's the intelligence behind that? Is it a light being? Is it robotic? Is it plasma? Is it interdimensional? Right. But it's obviously controlled, and there's some intelligence behind it. So that's my way of always looking at it. You're going to have your own personal experience too, and I can't wait for you to make that connection. It's extraordinary, and the other part about it that makes it much more fun is you get to experience it with others. And when you have your support group, because when you see something crazy like that, you need to turn around to who's standing next to you and go, did you see that? And they go, yes. Okay, cool. You got it, right? You need that. And so you get to share the experience. You don't want to ride a roller coaster by yourself in the front seat, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
Now, the other part about this is up at ECETI with you, with the ninth dimensional Lemurians or the Pleiadian Council, the Arcturians, all of these are represented up at ECETI. Maybe later on tonight we can talk to some of them, but have you had any communication with them about what ECETI is, or will they come and hang out with us at ECETI?
Oh, well, that's an interesting question. I've actually done some session work for some of the volunteers at ECETI, and I don't recall exactly, but they've asked specific questions about the labyrinth. I think there's a labyrinth out there or some type of a grid.
Right.
And things like that we've answered, but I can't say that I recall the details about that. So, no, I haven't personally tuned into that, but it would definitely be interesting to do that later or even while we're at ECETI to get some more information. And, I took a trip not too long ago to Sedona and visited some of the portals out there. And it was really interesting to me to go into each of those portals because I was able to access the beings that were there and the reason that they were there and what their assignments were in those places. And it was amazing to me how different each of them were, right in the same area. To have, one of the portals in Sedona be so multidimensional, yet another one be so native, and the spirit and the beings that were there be so different in the way that they communicated with me. So yeah, it's pretty interesting stuff.
The labyrinth that you're talking about, it's not quite a labyrinth, it's called the medicine wheel out in the field of dreams. Yes, and so there are 4 sections there for, the Orion, Arcturians, Pleiadians, and I'm trying to think of the 4th. There's one in each corner. But that place, okay, now I wanted to ask you about this before we hit the break. I had a very special experience when I went through the ceremony there. And I didn't know what was going to happen. I was a virgin. And I don't know, I don't even know, Michaela, if I would do it again voluntarily, because it is something that is out of your control. Okay, so I don't want to get into what the experience was. That was mine and mine alone. But you have a very powerful mind. Would you do the ceremony? Would you go in and experience that, not knowing what it could be?
Absolutely, I would.
Really?
Yeah.
Now,
no question.
Okay. Even though I just said I don't know if I would do it again.
I would because, well, I feel like I've had so many experiences that I don't know. I'm not really afraid of doing that, but curious.
Yeah.
Really curious.
That's right. That's right. And what was so interesting for me, again, I'm sure it's individual. You know, everybody is going to go through their own experience with this. And it lasted about 15 minutes. And then after it was done, and I came out of this experience and was back on terra firma, it was so strong. And anyway, I looked around. I looked at Rita, and I didn't recognize her. I didn't recognize anybody that was standing around me, and I didn't know where I was. And what was funny about that was that I closed my eyes and tried to go back. I tried to go back, you know, and I couldn't. And it was kind of like maybe Dorothy, Wizard of Oz, you know, when she's closing her eyes and clicking her heels and nothing's happening. It was like it was like that, and I couldn't go back. And it took me a good 30 minutes to get my feet back under me. Mm-hmm. Literally. I mean, I had trouble walking. So you sure you want to do it? Are you sure?
Oh, I want that experience.
I know. It was crazy. It was crazy.
Yeah, that's cool.
And
that's really cool.
I know. And so I'm going to say this before we go to the break. I want you to imagine this for a second. As this came flooding in to me, it came in from my left side, like left up about 10 o'clock. I don't know. Mm-hmm. It sounds so weird trying to describe it like this. But this thing came in from the left side and then surrounded my brain. But it came sweeping in, and then it just like encompassed everything. Like I stepped onto a holodeck. I don't know how, you know, it was, mm-hmm. I don't know how to explain it. But, and that's where I tried to go back to at the end. And I couldn't do it.
I will tell you that when I channel, I always have beings and collectives come in through the left side in that same exact way.
Really?
Yes.
See,
always from day one. Yeah.
You see, and that it's that kind of verification for me when I hear that. It makes me feel better. It makes me feel better because I could not control it. Right? I didn't know what to expect, and it just came in and took over. There was nothing stopping it. It was amazing. Like I said, it was. I don't like that out of control feeling. I like to know that I'm in control, but that was too much. So let's take a break right here. Our guest tonight, Michaela Sheldon, and I'm wondering where my stuff is. There it is. Our guest tonight, Michaela Sheldon, and we're talking about ECETI, but we're going to get away from that now. We'll come back. We'll pick up the conversation where we left off, but there's lots to talk about tonight. The message to humanity. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. Stay with us.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas.
Hello, Fadernauts. This is Jimmy Church, and I'm introducing New Pharma, a company whose products are based on science. Human function based on the endocannabinoid system, or ECS. New Pharma firmly believes in this science, and their research indicates that support of the ECS provides the beneficial effects for a healthy lifestyle. New Pharma's science includes relief capsules for pain relief, Sleep capsules, which are natural support for occasional sleeplessness. Foundation is support for your ECS, and Fit capsules support your active lifestyle. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2B for a 33% discount on all of their products. Or visit newpharma.com for all of the knowledge on the science. That's GNUpharma.com. Go Beckley Tappy.
Hello, I'm Katie and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to jimmychurchradio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. We're of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And I'm Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
And you're listening to Jimmy Church.
The Revolution.
Ancient Life Oil. Life-changing. The real oil. CBD is truly Ancient Life Oil from the source. This oil has no psychoactive effect and is also legal in all 50 states. When you're healthy, you're happy. The truth about this wonderful plant is that it wants to give back to mankind life, longevity, and happiness. Ancient Life Oil are golden grade, all organic, non-GMO, and infused with high-quality liquid coconut oil. It's simple. Just go to ancientlifeoil.com today. That's ancientlifeoil.com. The best, purest, organic, and non-GMO CBD in the world. Go Beckley Tappy. The statements made regarding these products have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Please consult your healthcare professional about potential interactions or other possible complications before using any product.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
All right, welcome back, Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Michaela Sheldon. She's back. This segment of Fade to Black is proudly brought to you by River Moon Coffee, makers of the Fade to Black blend. I'm drinking it right now in the studio. To get 15% off of your order right now, click on the banner, use the promo code F2B blend, and there you go. It's the best coffee in the world. Michaela, have you drank Fade to Black blend yet? Do you drink coffee?
Not yet.
Okay.
I don't drink coffee.
Oh, you will?
I do Chinese herbs.
Oh, I'll fix that for you.
I'm willing to try.
The first cup is free.
Great.
Okay? The first cup is free. You'll be hooked for life. It's just amazing. Anyway, we'll have some up at ECETI. I got this question in from Eddie. Eddie says, one of his favorite practices is bringing up the Kundalini during astral projection. Has Miss Sheldon had any experiences doing this? Now, it almost sounds a little too personal, but there's the question.
No, I think we can go there. I don't think there's anything personal about Kundalini. I mean, when I first had my awakening, it was happening to me all of the time. And I think that, you know, looking at some of the ancient civilizations, as a matter of fact, the Lemurian collective was one we were just talking about today. They relied on that Kundalini energy to raise their consciousness and create as a collective entity. It almost like set the tone. It prepared them as unique beings to always be making decisions in the highest good of all. And so, yeah, I have had Kundalini experiences. When I astral travel or meditate, not every time, but I think it's definitely a part of that experience.
And Kundalini, this is what I find interesting about it, is it's a little bit, it's almost the mystery schools. It's a little mysterious in that I've heard so many different definitions, how, what, when, why, all of that. For you, what is the definition of Kundalini?
Oh, to me, it's really just an uprising from the root chakra into the entire field, into my entire energy field. It's like this blissful kind of lightening of my entire body. It's almost, to me, losing the body in some respects, but it starts with some intense breath work, and that's really what got me into this whole connection with channeling. Was I went really deep into meditation, and that meditation led me into that Kundalini activation. So I don't think it's necessarily, we make it really like a personal, sexual, creative energy, and yes, it is, but at the same time, it feels to me like a lead-in more to like a collective space. So when you talk about somewhere like a SETI, for example, I don't know this for sure, but it feels to me like when you step onto a SETI, you're really stepping into a multi-dimensional portal. So that energy, you're feeling it in your body because it's a different dimension than what you live in every day. It's a different density. And that in itself is like a Kundalini energy. It's like a space to create. It's access. And I think to me, when I have that Kundalini experience in the body, it's because I'm moving between dimensions. It's like my inner technology is turned on to allow me to time travel. And I'm experiencing that blissful, creative energy in my body because my physical is responding differently to the energy that I've just accessed.
That's interesting. And when you were in Sedona, because this is going to happen to you up at ECETI, but when you're in a place that is full of these vortexes and energy sensors, there's no question about Sedona, or Joshua Tree too as well. Sleeping at night, it has to affect your dream state.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I'm going to be honest. My dream state just in my house here in Michigan is crazy enough. But yeah, if you put me in one of those vortexes, it gets that much more intense. I get a lot of downloads and I travel a lot in dream state. As a matter of fact, I have at least, I would say 2 or 3 nights a week where I don't really feel like I'm sleeping. I'm having conversations. I'm waking up with these very significant, I would say, downloads in my head. But yet I can't really hold on to them in physical. I'll have this little period where I wake up and I think, oh my gosh, this is such incredible information. I need to write it down. But then I fall back to sleep again, But a lot of times in Sedona, what would happen to me is as I was drifting off to sleep, I would catch glimpses of faces and beings coming at me. And actually the first night that I was in Sedona was the worst night for me, where I did not sleep much at all because I was seeing so much. And really, that happens to all of us.
It does.
All of us in dream state.
And when we stayed up at ECETI, we stayed off site. But that was the one thing that Rita and I knew that we were going to do the next time, which will be this August, that we wanted to experience that, to sleep there, because there's so much, the word is craziness. There's craziness going on. It's just craziness. And whatever it is that you need or want to experience, you're going to find it there, right? And it doesn't take long. It doesn't. I'm telling you. So anyway, I saw this with everybody else. I wasn't the only person. I saw this orb. I saw this orb, and this orb was like 50 feet. I don't know, 50 feet. It was big, and it was floating at the end of the field. It manifested too. It went from a little dot, and it swooped around the trees, and then enlarged and became this big gray, 2-dimensional, by the way, flat circle down at the end of the field. Now, that went on the property. So what goes on, how do I say this? What goes on while you're sleeping You know what I mean? There's energy there. Whatever manifested this orb in front of everybody there. By the way, Michaela, somebody, as I'm watching this, somebody said from behind me, is anybody watching that gray orb out there? And I spin around and I said, you mean this bleep is real? Because I thought I had some floaty in my eye. Right? Right?
Yeah.
And so somebody verifies that this craziness is actually going on. So while you're sleeping, this energy is going on 24/7. It's got to affect your dreams. I can only imagine how electric they are.
Yeah. Well, you know what happens when we sleep is, and it's happening more and more because of what's going on within the planet. We have a light body and we have this physical material, our physical vehicle, and they've been separate. They still are very separate, but there's a time-space reality. There's a time-space lag between our light body, which accesses non-physical, and our physical body, which is the physical manifestation of that light body. When we go to sleep, what happens is we rest our mind and our emotional body and our consciousness so much that we allow that light body to take over. Because we have so much resistance in our day-to-day when we're awake that sometimes that light body, it can't work for us the way that it's intended. It's really a part of our technology we're meant to use and time travel and do all of these things. So when you're in dream state, that light body is carrying you into other timelines, and that's really what dreams are. They're in real time visiting other experiences. So when you find yourself in a place like a SETI where the veil is so thin between other dimensions and you fall asleep, that light body is really accessing a lot in the field. So it makes sense.
Yeah, it has to be that way. I couldn't agree. The veil is very, very thin. And because that veil is so thin, what is really cool about that for me is that's where you need to take somebody who is on the fence. And maybe on the fence leaning towards skeptic. Right? They haven't had a sighting. They've never met a fairy. They've never seen an orb. They've never had any Bigfoot, whatever it is, right? That's where you want to take them because the veil is so thin that they're going to get smacked upside the head. You laugh.
That's one way. That's one way to wake up.
Well, right. That's a nervous laugh coming from you too, as well, because I speak the truth, right? You know that I do.
Yeah.
That's where you want to be able to bring somebody in and get their mind opened up. And this isn't baby steps. He said he's not baby steps. And when you start to go through this extreme paradigm shift, because your belief system is changed. And you have to be able to surround yourself with others that are going to support you through it. And that's where I would take somebody. I would take them to ECETI where there's other people around going through the same experiences, and you get to be propped up. Were you propped up when you went through your awakening? Did you have support around you?
Oh, no. And, that's what's so cool about ECETI because it sounds like not only do you have the support around you of other people or having the same experience, but it's visceral and physical, right? So having like an awakening like I had, it's easy to call yourself crazy or dismiss what's going on. But no, I didn't have, I was in a world where I didn't have anyone around me who was in this conversation.
How did you fix that?
I don't think I fixed it. I think the vibration fixed it. So what happened to me was the more that I stepped into it, the more my life began to change. Because, when you're having this kind of interaction or conversation with interdimensionals, it's not just a physical thing. It's not just words. It's not just transmissions. It's an energy that's running through your body. And so I changed everything about my life, not because I said I have to, but because it just didn't fit anymore who I was. And as I did that, I found myself surrounded by more people, just like a magnet coming into my life who were having this conversation, who were supporting what I was here to do. So it wasn't a decision I made.
Right. And I'm looking in the chat room, and Lost at Sea says, not only do I not have support, but everyone around me thinks I'm nuts. And I get that, right? I totally get that. And that will cause you to close yourself off, right? You don't want walls built up around you. You want to knock those walls down. What advice could you give right now to Lost at Sea? There are so many in that exact position.
Yeah, it's such a tricky time on the planet right now, and Lost at Sea is not alone, because I talk to so many people every day who are in the same boat. A lot of us are finding ourselves alone, and I think from a higher vantage point, a lot of us chose to be here in the midst of this timeline shift. We chose to be here and play in this game with people who weren't going to believe the things that we were experiencing. And so what happened to me was, when I finally got my footing about this, I thought, this is what I'm here to do. This is my life. This is who I'm becoming. I felt like I had to convince other people around me who weren't believers. And that is just the wrong path. I can tell you right now. I grew up in a Catholic Italian family. And I started having little dinner meetings with members of my family to explain to them what I was doing. And, they were either dumbfounded, confused, afraid, or just completely rejecting what I was saying. So what I decided was just to live it, just simply to live it, not to convince anyone of my truth or that they had to subscribe to any of my beliefs, but I put it out there. This is who I am. This is what I do. And I continue to have those relationships today. And when you don't force it, I think that those subtle changes start to happen, because I have seen in my family at holiday dinners, some conversations come up that I never would have thought we'd be having. Not that I brought them up, but my family's bringing them up. So something's happening, right, beneath the surface. And, we tend to put a lot of protection around ourselves because of what society has taught us is right or wrong. I mean, I had my awakening in the midst of the PTA, in a golf course community. And it was crazy because I was so afraid to even tell my own kids what I was doing, for the fact that they might be rejected and not, get invited to the next birthday party, that I really hid myself away. But it's just a false fear, because, I realize that not everything or everybody is going to resonate with what I do. And that really helps me to, streamline my energy such that I'm not spending so much time beating my head up against the wall with people who don't agree with me or see it my way, but just living in a way that creates a space for people to join me on the journey. And that's kind of what happened.
Lost at Sea just responded and said, my wife pretends to listen, right? Yeah. That is where that is who you need to take to ESETI, right?
This is a common issue with relationships,
right.
Jimmy. I mean, it's just coming up a lot, because think about it this way, okay? We're different humans than we were 10 years ago. And a lot of us formed relationships in these old dimensional energies, in these old identities. And these soul contracts, they have to be willing to change with us. And each member of that soul contract, that partnership, has free will to choose, the opportunity to go on that journey with you or not. And, I'm not saying that the relationship needs to fail, but at the same time, if that conversation isn't heard, right, you can't force that person to hear the conversation. You can only give them the opportunity to consider, right, or inquire within their own reality. And, this happened to me. I'm not saying everyone who's going through awakening is going through a divorce, but, I found myself in a relationship and was very open and honest with someone who's, conventional world, corporate world, and quite frankly was afraid of what I was experiencing. And, it just became a difficult situation for me to create what I was here to create and be supported in, and so a lot of people are having these honest conversations, and, it's not to say that we have to force it, push it, or cut it off, but we have to be open to the fact that we're shifting timelines right now. And in every relationship that we have is a separate timeline that has its own dimensional reality, its own vibration. And we can kind of see that, you know. We have some friends or some family members that still are subscribing to the old paradigm, the old grid, I call it, 3D matrix, that aren't willing to take the opportunity to, you know, allow others to experience something different. And then we have these new relationships and experiences coming in where we're creating new partnerships and new timelines based on resonance.
The ability to, I mean, that's part of the magic. If your partner is with you, to sit around and have the ceremony of discussion, right? Mm-hmm. That's it. And you can go through so many different experiences in a day. Look, today, just today, I picked up my cell phone. I'm calling Race Hobbs. I picked up my cell phone and I hit the, what do you call it? The thumbprint, right? Whatever it is, the ID. And I turn it on and I'm getting ready to dial Race. And while I'm holding my phone in my hand, he calls me. Now, that's pretty cool. And you want to be able to, at that moment, turn to your other half and go, Jesus, this is cool, right? You want to be able to share that and have them understand what you just went through. And if you can't do that, that's tough. I mean, that's a tough thing. So if you have a better half that isn't getting it or is just along for the ride or is just, you know, pacifying you with passive conversation, take him to ECETI. Take him to ECETI. Take him to ECETI. They will leave a changed person. Somebody just posted here. I want to get to this. Janine said, Soul Tech question. Can we bring somebody who's not a fade or not? Yes, you can, because they are going to leave wearing a Fade to Black T-shirt. Absolutely. Yeah, bring somebody who is not a fade or not. Now, here's another question that just got posted. Can you recommend for learning how to balance the processing of higher energies and comprehending and remembering how we are all connected to all things and experiencing this, but still actually living in 3D? And you know what? As you think about that answer, I get this question a lot lately, Michaela, where there are a lot that are okay with 3D. They want the enlightenment of, you know, the vibrational shift, but they're actually okay right here in terra firma in 3D land. Mm-hmm. I get that a lot lately. So how do you handle that? And are you getting the same questions?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think there's anything wrong with being in 3D. There's no right or wrong here. We just have different realities we're existing in, and so just to kind of give a little bit of background on this, a lot of the channeling that I've been bringing in has been talking about this new grid, the guides call it. So everything we create in a pattern, we create in a grid, and all that means is it's information flowing between 2 points, right? And it creates this really interesting or unique connection to all things. Well, we've just been focused in 3D, and we've created this old 3D grid or matrix. And, you know, this is where our old, you know, corporate entities, our banking system, all of this stuff exists. But as we've been awakening, we've been creating this new grid. This new grid is a bit different because it operates in open source. It is connected to the, it's not segmented off. It's not just an earthly loop. It's taking us elsewhere. And so we, as humans, a lot of us have timelines running in both grids. You know, we still have that third dimensional job, and we may love that job, but yet we're creating consciously elsewhere in this new grid, you know, new timelines. So the key to balancing this, I really think, is having neutrality. And this is kind of a controversial topic that is always brought in my channeling, because people automatically jump to, oh, well, neutrality means that you don't pay attention to things in the world. You don't care about things that are going on in the world. And that's not at all what neutrality is. Neutrality is looking at everything for what it is, but knowing that you bring the perception and the consciousness to it to change it. So a lot of us are still in these 3D positions, and we're there with a higher consciousness because we're bringing something to that timeline. I mean, I know so many people, for example, that are working in the financial markets, and they're tapping into this information now about blockchain, right? And all these new things that are coming in this open grid potential. Mm-hmm. And they're bringing that knowledge and that wisdom to something that's now getting ready to transition. So we really have to stay, I guess, open and in neutrality to the bridges we're creating between these two timelines. It's different for everybody, you know, Jimmy. It's different for everybody. Sometimes what I see is that we still have these 3D timelines because they're supporting us in becoming or doing something different. And when people are in resistance about that, like, oh, I have this old job and I hate it and it sucks and it's dragging me down and it's low vibrational, then they have a harder time bringing in that new timeline or that new energy that they're here to create from or with. And so that neutrality comes in as a perception. How you perceive everything in your life is a currency. It's an intention that goes out to the universe, and it assists in that shift.
Edgardo's got a question. It's a dream question. Let's see if we can get this in really quick. Dream question. Very vivid dreams, many very creepy, but when trying to remember, it's quickly gone from memory, but not the fear. Why is that?
So the fear is still there, but the memory is gone. Well, you know, we have so much fear of the unknown. And so when I first started connecting, I was connecting with a lot of beings, experiences, even in dream state, that I didn't understand. But we really have to begin to question, because when we question these realities, we can often get information that helps take us out of fear. So first, I would say having a solid practice before going to bed is really beneficial to navigating that light body technology while you're asleep. I always state solid intentions before I go to bed. You know, my intention is to sleep through the night. If I travel, my intention is to recall the travels or the things that are most beneficial to me, or to have understanding, to wake up with a recall of what's most important, not all of it, but what's most important.
Right.
Keep a journal by my bed so I can jot that down, you know. But if we go into this state of fear when we wake up, that remembrance is it's like it's calling us back into something that we just don't understand. And so if you're having the fear when you wake up, I'd say go back into a state of meditation and state that intention to understand better, to state the question, why do I have this fear? What was it I encountered? Give me more information. And it's amazing what we can pick up on when we get into that questioning mode, that inquisitive mode.
Right.
I'd say practice that, because the energies are supporting us in doing that right now.
I'm different from most. I like scary dreams. You know, I do. I enjoy them. And some of I've had, you know, I've woken up just like everybody else has in a panic, and just like, well, you know, I mean, you know, terrified, right? But I'm ready. I want to go back to sleep. I want to pick up where I left off, and I find it exciting. And I know that sounds, you know, a bit strange, but I enjoy that.
Yeah. We know also when our light body's traveling, okay, so we have these experiences when we're sleeping, just like if we were to go on a ship, okay, if we were having an experience on a ship, we enter this plasmic state. So all of the information from that experience, it exists in plasma within us. And so we have the ability to access that plasma when we go into meditation with a solid practice or an intention. You know, like for me, what I've been doing lately is recalling a lot of experiences I've had on ships as a young child that exist in that plasma state that I wasn't able to access as a child, or I wasn't ready to access as a child. And so that can really help to recall, right, some of these experiences going back into that plasma state. And it requires meditation. It requires a higher vibration, or adjusting your consciousness to match what's in that plasma.
Right.
Right. Because when we have these time travels, we're we're existing in a different vibration, a different dimension that we don't hold in our day-to-day reality. So that's why meditation is such a valuable tool, using that during the day to complement your night travels, to go into that plasmic state again and just recall the things that you need to remember.
When we come back, can we talk to the Council of Light or the Lemurians? Sure. Can we do all of that? Okay, this is what I would like to do with everybody. I had so much fun last time doing this, and it caught me by surprise. So we're not going to do that this time. If you have any questions that you would like to... Now, I just blew past the commercial break, but I'll get it in. How quickly can you change gears from who you are channeling?
I can change gears right away.
Okay. All right. So whether it's Mary Magdalene or archangels, Jeremiah, the Council of Light, Arcturians, post your questions up in hashtag F2B, and I'll ask them in real time right after the break. Our guest tonight, Michaela Sheldon. I'm ready. I'm almost nervous, Michaela. So let's get through this together. Let's have some fun. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. We'll be right back. More with Michaela right after this. We're going to channel live. Stay with us.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Hurricanes, earthquakes, wildfires. This year we've experienced more than our fair share. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and last month I decided to make sure my family does not have to worry about food should we get caught in a real emergency situation. Introducing Numana, a healthy, storable product that tastes so good that you'll want to eat it every day instead of just during those times of duress. All Numana products have a 25-year shelf life, are MSG and GMO-free, no preservatives, and are made in America. With the Numana pack in your home, you'll be able to sleep at night knowing that you've protected your family. Not only have I tasted and tested, I own it. Now you can too. Just click on the Numana banner on JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code Jimmy when you order. In addition to a discount, we'll send you an autographed Fade to Black t-shirt. Seriously. Go Beckley Tappy.
Do you worry a lot? Whether you're a college student, busy professional, parent, or grandparent, ongoing stress and elevated levels of the stress hormone cortisol can rob your memory, your health, and your future. Now you can combat the effects of stress and anxiety while improving your memory and recall at the same time with the dietary supplement Calm and Clever. Studies show that the ingredients in Calm and Clever reduce cortisol by as much as 30% in 1 to 2 weeks. Call 1-800-758-8746 or calmandclever.com.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA. KGRARadio.com.
Hi, folks. CBD is the home run hitter for health right now. Why, you ask? Because of what it does for the body. Unfortunately, I can't tell you all about the benefit. You know, there's reasons. Do your due diligence and log on to AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Ancient Life Oil uses organic ingredients and is blended in coconut oil for some of the best benefits. Legal in 50 states and non-psychoactive. Log on to AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This segment of Fade to Black is proudly brought to you by New Pharma, GNU Pharma. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and go read about all of the science behind New Pharma. Promo code is F2B, 33% off of your order. Our guest tonight, Michaela Sheldon, and we're going to do some live channeling on the air. Michaela, are you ready?
I'm ready.
You're ready. Okay. I had so much fun doing this last time, and for me, I was a little unprepared, and I know that you probably enjoyed that because I was very... my questions were innocent, and I did the best that I could. I'm reaching out to the audience now to help me through this, but this is an opportunity for everybody to get questions in, and you can post them on Twitter, hashtag F2BQ. You can also email me or Rita, Jimmy at jimmychurchradio.com, or Rita at jimmychurchradio.com, and I will get the questions into me here into the studio. So with that, I'm going to start off with this. This is to the Council of Light. Many say that we are breaking free from the control systems and heading for a golden age. Can the Council of Light speak to this?
Yes, we most certainly can, and we are pleased to do so. The way in which we see your vibrational energy changing is in effect becoming more of a one collective. The way this one collective is forming is through a variety of planetary alignments and solar frequencies that are affecting your internal structure. So even those humans who exist upon your planet, who you consider not having awakened to the degree that you have, still have within their internal structure a vibration that is matching your own. This has been the first stage, we will call it, in the deconstruction of hierarchical programs that exist within the 3D matrix. These hierarchical programs, they rely on humanity being focused within a singular structure. In other words, you've become very limited in your DNA potential through time. And there have been many physical forms of this DNA restriction that have been accepted by humanity and continue to be accepted by humanity, causing a difference in your field. Now, when we look at potentials in vibration, we are looking at the way those potentials are either connecting to the universe or having a repeat pattern, replaying karma in the spiral continuum of humanity's Akashic record. What we believe is that the spiral continuum that is allowing humanity to expand is now existing more in a fifth dimensional or multidimensional reality than it ever has before. What that means is the potentials that you are creating as a collective have very strong sound harmonics, and those sound harmonics are amplified through Mother Earth. When humanity begins to come together as a one collective, the existence of those who are using the opportunity to activate further their strands of DNA are having a grand effect on those who are vibrating in a similar way but yet have not chosen to awaken or use those gifts in the way that perhaps others haven't. The reptilian collective or consciousness that exists within the core of Mother Earth relies on physical means in a singular structure in order to keep you focused in this old grid, revisiting this karmic loop that we speak of as the spiral continuum. This reptilian collective is now finding itself in a preparation for reintegration. What we believe will take place is that as new timelines are anchored in the new grid potentials we have discussed, there will be less application of this reptilian consciousness to affect your DNA in the way that it has previously. And it must be reintegrated into its own race in order for the Earth to fully ground these new potentials and to step into what you have classified as an age of enlightenment. This age of enlightenment is returning not because of history. It is returning because your consciousness is matching this history. And so you are bringing back valuable information to rely upon to continue your creative efforts. This is also a part of that spiral continuum, but it's tapping into it differently. To clarify this further, we wish to say that what humanity has been experiencing is a repeat pattern of karma. And that repeat pattern of karma can no longer play out when you are tapping into more of your DNA and having more access to ancient history.
This is also for the Council of Light. So many humans long for and would welcome open contact. Why then will not ETs bypass their agreements with the military governments who don't represent the will of humanity as a whole and reveal themselves to us openly?
Yes, and we are pleased to clarify this as well. You see, humanity often sees in very linear physical timeline focus. In other words, your perception becomes very narrowed to your physical experience. So disclosure on your planet has become a revealing of dimensional beings in physical form. Yet, it is the opinion of this council that many of you are experiencing disclosure already and have for quite some time on this planet in a non-physical form. And your government continues to do the same. So what's happening here is that there's a push-pull between your desire for disclosure and how you're energetic around that desire is either slowing or quickening the pace of these beings being revealed to you, as you call it. You see, there are no beings that are absent of your earth. Your earth is held in a 12th dimensional reality. It is just that your perception or ability to perceive is held in such a singular focus that you do not have access to the sights that you so desire. What your government is doing is using many technologies and tapping into ancient records that are allowing them to transcend the physical focus into higher dimensions, such that these visceral responses that you so desire are able to be coordinated. And yet at the same time, humanity as a singular structure carries within its technology the same ability. So in other words, what your government is doing, and perhaps what you perceive as being hidden from you, is actually a God-given gift that you have installed within your human technology, yet your consciousness has not raised to the point where that technology is able to be held. And we want to speak to dimensional reality for a moment. And we know that many of you perceive that beings in other dimensions could come and modify what's taking place on your earth, reveal things, rebirth things, change things. And most certainly, beings in other dimensions have the ability to do this. But there's a universal code that is adhered to. This universal code does not allow beings of other dimensions or races to impede on the free will of humans or other races. And the reason for this is not that they cannot, because beings in ulterior dimensions most certainly can override free will. But what happens is not what you believe in your linear focus. If we were to come to your planet and override what humanity is playing out, it wouldn't just affect that one timeline. It would affect the history of that timeline. It would affect the future of that timeline. It would affect every being, every contract, and every decision that's been made here on this planet, skewing things outside of what you call disclosure. So holding a dimensional reality is a collective function. And what we believe is that humanity is already tapping in vibrationally to this contact or communication. The visceral responses will yet to be received as humanity continues on this ascension timeline.
Can the Council of Light address Loosh and those negative forces out there that feed off of our negative energy that is called Loosh?
We can clarify this, but we want to step into first an understanding about collective consciousness. Many of you believe there's a classification of certain beings or races of beings that are causing your reality to not conform to your liking. And we want to make it quite clear that the crystalline core of Mother Earth holds a sonic vibration as a portal. It is an open space for information to flow. So many beings and many races enter your Earth atmosphere through this portal and have specific access based on their agreements. So many of these beings or these collectives, as you define them, are not coming in physical form and don't have so much of a physical agenda here, as their consciousness has flown through the, we'll say, transcended through the Earth. They've left behind their imprints such that humanity is accepting those imprints and carrying out on behalf of them events, experiences, and physical realities that are causing what's happening here on the Earth. So if this is happening, if humanity is actually carrying out agendas of other beings, how can this be transmuted? Well, the vibrational match is truly what we want to get to here. When humanity is held in a third-dimensional consciousness or is held into a limited aspect of its DNA, it is often accepting suffering as its platform of perception. And when you accept suffering as a platform of perception, you are easily matching the agendas, the history, the consciousness of these beings that are passing through the Earth. You see, all of you, having an ascended technology, are able to communicate with many beings and dimensional races, some of those that may not be in the highest and best interest of your singular form or humanity. But at the same time, you don't always accept their agendas, nor do their energies affect you from a singular standpoint. It is because you're not matching that information. So if we take this to a higher vantage point and bring back the previous question about disclosure, we would say that all information resides within the divine record of the universe, and the Earth taps into that divine record of the universe through humanity, which is its collective consciousness. So as humanity continues to evolve, it won't have to worry about these beings, races, collective energies, or entities entering the crystalline core and affecting them, because they'll be vibrating beyond where those matches take place of information. So what we see here is not a race of beings that has inhabited your planet and is carrying out its own agenda. We see a consciousness that has traveled through time, that has left its imprint within the Earth, and that humanity has been focused into suffering to match the information of these beings, thus carrying out energetics that do not serve your race.
Also, for the Council of Light, why do individuals have connections to symbols? And what does that mean?
Actually, we get the Arcturians stepping in. So I welcome the Arcturian Collective into this transmission, and they want to speak to symbols and patterns, and they're very pleased to do so. They say that as a human structure, as a human collective, you are made of patterns of light. So if you were to look beneath your skin, your bone, you would see flowing through your cells an energetic pattern of light and sound. And that energetic pattern of light and sound is interpreted by you, thus forming the physical vehicle that you find yourself in. It is the same as a visioning in with your extrasensory gifts to patterns of light and information in other realities. For example, there are many who are able to tap into the cellular energy of nature and reveal patterns within nature that are allowing information to flow to humanity about their multidimensionality. There are some through the upper chakras tuning into patterns of information through light and sound as healers or conduits for the Earth. There are many sacred forms of patterns that have been left behind for humanity to understand their internal structure and to activate their ascension codes. These will continue to be revealed to humanity and are left behind for you also as imprints or healing tools. So what happens when you interact with a sacred pattern, for example? That sacred pattern is a vibration. and it matches something within your codex. So any time that you are exposed to sacred geometric patterns that perhaps have been left behind by ancient civilizations, you're able to accentuate your own consciousness and raise your vibration, remembering those patterns at the cellular level. Now, we also want to bring in language into this understanding or into this intention, because we believe that human language in itself holds patterns of light and sound that have been manipulated, taking humanity outside of its original structure. When you go back into ancient civilizations, for example, you'll recognize sound harmonics or sound healings that were used, amplifying the inner throat and toning, for example. These were all relationships to these patterns in a different form. Many who are conduits for light language, for example, for downloading a codex of light and sound and interpreting it for humanity, are actually bringing sacred geometric patterns through their structure to offer some type of response. And further, we would say that there are crop circles that are embedded into your earth. These crop circles hold a specific vibration that becomes an imprint in your consciousness. Just their presence within the auric field of Mother Earth forces a change or a shift, aligning humanity back to its own original sacred geometric patterns.
I'm going to ask the question, and then you can find who can answer it. Okay, so what role the inner earth beings play in our ascension process here on the surface?
Yes. So the council comes in to answer this question. They're very pleased to do so. They say that the crystalline core of Mother Earth is a multidimensional sounding board. It holds many dimensional realities and timelines. So when you are speaking of the inner earth beings, what we wish to say is that there are intergalactic or interdimensional layers of collective consciousness that exist upon the earth in different timelines that hold information. And so when these beings are accessed or understood, they come forth not for one purpose of human ascension, but many of them are here with assignments that are very specifically related to your bridge between the consciousness that you have held, or the dimension that you've held here for many, many millenniums of time, into a new enlightened society. Some of these inner earth beings held in a plasmic state are able to resonate with humans to bring information back from their linear and multidimensional past. So we want to explain exactly what's happening with these inner earth beings, because it's a union of sorts with humanity. We think of humanity oftentimes as seeing itself as separate of interdimensionals or even plasmic beings or beings in the core of the earth, when in reality you are one galactic family. Within your DNA, you hold the likeness of all and every one of these beings. But you've lost the communication, the telepathy, the access to them, the ability to communicate and exchange with them. So what's happening here on the planet, especially with a recent grid and pole shift that is allowing dimensional information to flow differently, is that humanity is accessing itself in fragmented timelines, meaning that you in this singular body believe that you are singular in form and show up in this singular linear aspect. But in reality, there are fragments of you operating in a variety of timelines outside of the singular focus. What if we told you that some of those timelines existed within the inner core of Mother Earth, and that many of the beings that exist in those dimensional realities are actually members of your galactic family, and that there's a forging now of relationship between your current timeline and what's always been a full part of your reality, your galactic history, your galactic citizenship here on the earth. So when we speak of these different assignments for these beings, we want to classify what some examples of that might be. There are beings that exist within the core of Earth that are specifically here to work within the grids, meaning that They understand the operation of the grids within Earth and how they connect to humanity. And they're here to activate or accentuate energies, history, or information to assist in human ascension. There are other beings solely with the purpose of bringing in new technologies to the Earth. They are manifestors, creators of crystalline technologies. They are using them, in fact, within the Earth and upon the Earth, and they're here to help humanity remember those technologies, for example. There are others who are healers, who are here on behalf of galactic councils and star systems to assist humanity in healing its internal structure to resonate as a new galactic human.
Amazing. Amazing messages. We need to take a break right here. And let's go ahead and do that. We'll pick up when I have a lot of stuff here lined up, a lot of questions ready to go. So let's go ahead and take a break. I wanted to ask you this before we got to the break. For you, Michaela, personally, is it physically tiring or exhausting to do what you do? What is, I mean, for me personally, I want to know, what's it like? Do you physically change?
I step outside of myself, and I would say it's a higher vibration. So right now, as I come back into my body, we were talking about Kundalini and that buzzy, blissful energy. I just feel that all over right now. So it's that part of it, not at all exhausting. However, I will say I do go through transitions and periods where I'm integrating a lot of information, and that will take my physical body down more than the channeling. So when we talked about the downloads I get in my sleep and things like that, when I'm doing a lot of writing, I notice I get very tired. So it's a push-pull. It's a little bit of both.
You know, and the other thing that, and you can answer this, we've got about 30 seconds, that when I have a conversation with you, it's one thing. And then when I hear you going into the zone, your vocabulary completely changes. Do you know?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, do you consciously even know that is happening?
Yeah, kind of. It's a really weird experience. I'm almost an observer, and I tell you what happens is I try to listen, and it sounds like a jumbled up mess to me.
Right.
So I'll always walk away from my live sessions thinking that was a mess. And then I listen back and go, oh, it wasn't quite so much of a mess. It's not my vocabulary. And sometimes I have to listen back to my channeling several times to actually understand what the guides are saying.
You know, when we are up at ECETI, we're going to go off campus for a minute. There's a general store over in Trout Lake, very small town, right? I'm going to take you into the general store. We're going to go up. We're going to buy some ice cream or whatever, and you are going to channel with the cashier. That's what I want. That's what I want to see. Let's take a break right here. This is Fade to Black. Our guest is Michaela Sheldon. We're going to pick up right where we left off. I've got a bunch of questions right here from all of you. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. Stay with us.
Hi, everybody. This is Rob Halford, the Metal God, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station. Salt Lake City, Utah. Van Buren, Arkansas.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat.
Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation, and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now for a special radio offer from Angioprim. That's angioprim.com/radio. ANGIOPRIM. Angioprim.com/radio or call 877-882-7221. That's 877-882-7221.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on the smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Your contact for current news and trending topics. KGRARadio.com.
Hello, Fadernauts. This is Jimmy Church, and I'm introducing New Pharma, a company whose products are based on science. Human function based on the endocannabinoid system, or ECS. New Pharma firmly believes in this science, and their research indicates that support of the ECS provides the beneficial effects for a healthy lifestyle. New Pharma's science includes relief capsules for pain relief, sleep capsules, which are natural support for occasional sleeplessness. Foundation is support for your ECS, and Fit capsules support your active lifestyle. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2B for a 33% discount on all of their products. Or visit newpharma.com for all of the knowledge on the science. That's GNUpharma.com. Go Beckley Tappy. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of Fade to Black by just calling 605-562-4482. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Just call 605-562-4482. You can listen to me, Jimmy Church, on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Go Beckley Tappy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why Fade to Black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
Welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This segment is proudly brought to you by New Manna. Emergency food storage for you and your family. 25-year shelf life. GMO and MSG-free. 25-year shelf life. Made in America. Use the promo code Jimmy. Click on the banner over at jimmychurchradio.com. Any order over $100 is going to get you a Fade to Black t-shirt signed by me. Our guest tonight, Michaela Sheldon. And Michaela, this is just amazing. I've got so much lined up here. Are you ready? Are you ready to go?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. Let's go here. Andromedans. Can we talk to the Andromedans?
Sure.
Okay. Which is this? What is their message to us?
Okay. So the Andromedan Collective presents themselves as a one. They are very pleased to address this audience as a collective as well. And they say that as a part of their assignment with humanity, they are operating in several different timelines to assist in the bridge of ascension that many are walking currently. However, the Andromedans as a collective has also had similar experiences with timeline shifts. So they are bringing forth history from their own experience and using it as an application to assist humanity within its own divine structure. Andromedans in their basic form have been ascended through a variety of these timeline shifts to the point that They enable their divine structure to be used as a conduit or a pass-through of information. So when you think about grids or operating within the grids, for example, exchanging information, you have grids within you. Humans have a grid work or a grid system. That grid system operates in meridians and portals and ascension codes, and many of you understand that when you arrive, you choose your birth date in alignment with the planets to have experiences that you've agreed on collectively. But what you forget is that you made those decisions from a collective vantage point such that a collective experience would be had as well. This is what we come to support. We work within the grids of humanity to activate these codes that bring you back to the understanding that everything that you are doing is not just for of the self, that the experiences that you have are solidifying, again, a reunion of your cosmic families or collective consciousness. Some of the ways that we do this is by being very attentive to the portals that exist within and upon the earth, as well as within the human structure. Portals are essentially openings or bridges to allow information to pass through or be exchanged when an intention is similar. And what we find is that often these portals can become very vulnerable for humanity. And as was alluded to previously, there are beings, races that pass through the Earth collective that are not in the highest intention for humanity. One of our roles or one of our assignments is to, for sake of a better term, upkeep the portals in relationship to their vibration or information that may be passed through that is not in humanity's best interest. When we see that portals are retaining information or density that is not in humanity's best interest or is creating potentials that are not of service to humanity, we will go in and activate both the grids within your human form as well as within the earth. And we do this through contract with humanity. So in other words, from a collective vantage point, you have agreed to work with Andromedans before coming into this human reality to allow us access to your grid lines, your meridians, your portals, knowing that we uphold the vision for humanity to always continue to ascend.
This is for the Council of Light. Mm-hmm. Why are people of color, immigrants, still being persecuted? What lessons do we need to learn or teach to change this paradigm?
Yes, we're pleased to explain this, and there is a basic premise behind why history continues to repeat on your planet. It is not just in this one area, but in many we see. What has happened here through time is that everything that has been created through any human or group of humans remains in your Akashic record. So as a singular being, if you have a relationship with someone and that relationship is in conflict, even though that conflict may be over and it is not present yet in your life, it still remains in a timeline that vibrates in real time somewhere else in the universe. We know this is hard for humanity to grasp or comprehend, but it is the way the universe works because everything that is being created here is actually in a flow with everything else. So you are using history as the platform for expansion. This is why you revisit timelines, especially those timelines that are the most critical to your collective reality. They, in many ways, may have been addressed or focused upon in the past in a more third-dimensional focus. There's nothing wrong with that. You see, humanity as a collective has had its focus based in the third dimension or in material physical because it desired that. And although there were many beings or the consciousness of many beings that stepped into your physical form and began creating through you, you still have experiences that you so desire to have to continue on the journey of expansion. But if you addressed something, a specific timeline, and let us say it was a racial incident or issue with a physical focus, it's always going to come back to you again in that spiral continuum to address through a new consciousness. Not because you're meant to suffer or struggle, but because now there are components of that timeline that you may not have resolved or understood that can be changed. Because remember, that experience goes on. And every time you address a new timeline with a new consciousness, or let us back up to say an old timeline with a new consciousness, you actually change history. So as you are relating to these racial issues on your planet, wars, for example, with a new consciousness, you're actually changing the past as well as creating potentials for the future. What we believe the problem is that the old grid was segmented from universal support as well as became a vicious loop of karmic experience. And we want to explain why this has happened. As the council, one of our assignments of many is to also monitor the way in which grids connect to universal timelines. So in other words, Earth as a being, as a living, breathing being with a human race, has a grid system that connects to other star systems, other planets, other realities to exchange information. But when that information may not serve another, for example, if humanity is creating a war that may flow through this grid that will skew a timeline somewhere else, for example, in the star system of Andromeda, it is our assignment to go in and segment that flow of energy through the grid to ensure that other races will not experience cataclysms due to the unconsciousness of another. And so what's happened through time is because humanity was focused through a reptilian consciousness within its third dimensional DNA, it began creating timelines in abundance that were resonating out to other planets, star systems, and races that were causing chaos. So this third dimensional grid, it became segmented through our intention to maintain balance and harmony in the universe. And humanity began to struggle and suffer with its timeline continuum of revisiting things without the access to multidimensional experience. But what's happened recently that has been alluded to in this transmission previously is that a new grid potential has been formed. This new grid connects very solidly to universal support, and there is a two-way flow. And the reason for that is humanity is creating timelines that are of benefit to other races, that match experiences that can be brought here to resolve some of the things that you have yet to be able to resolve in your current conscious awareness or in the density that you've been existing in. And this is why we have such hope for humanity, especially in regards to these types of issues, revisiting racial issues, even issues between divine masculine and feminine that continue to come up here in your collective human race, because you now have access to new information. And through a new consciousness, you're matching timelines where you've already resolved these issues. We want you to imagine for a minute that there is a human race that exists in future timelines, that many of you who are here in this moment have already resolved things that you cannot imagine resolving right now. And what if we told you that the new consciousness that you hold is bringing that vibrational match of information back to you in order to now revisit these issues with a new consciousness? And that consciousness is focused in non-physical. So when we're focused in non-physical, what happens is our light bodies, our DNA, they carry out some of the work for us. It doesn't become just the decisions we're making in physical or how we approach our physical reality. It becomes the way we access information non-physically and exchange it with others. So we wish to say that although you may be revisiting some things on your planet in this time that exist in that karmic loop, that third dimensional loop that is segmented from universal support, because this new grid has been stabilized, what we see is these issues becoming resolved as you continue to work through them.
So how do we accept suffering, especially when everything feels like it's toppling around us?
Yes. So the Pleiadians want to come in and speak to this, and they're very pleased to do so. They say that there's a big difference, you see, between human suffering as it has been defined or experienced and karma or emotional experience that you've planned as a soul to evolve. You come here with a set or a criteria of collective experiences that as a soul, you wish to transmute on behalf of yourself and all others. So imagine coming here with experiences to play out with other souls, relationships, things that you desire to create, not just being for service to singular, but service to all beings. Now, imagine that these experiences may not be perhaps all of joy, happiness, bliss, or fulfillment, that in order to continue to evolve as a soul, there is some shift or uncomfortable change or movement in your field that has to be undergone in order to continue to vibrationally evolve. This is really the crux of how humans have interpreted suffering. You see, when you have pain in the body, you have defined that pain as being wrong. But what if we were to explain to you that pain in the body is only a cellular adjustment to an unknown experience, something new in the vibrational field that's coming in that everything must realign to? Your perception of that pain is what creates it, and the creation of suffering comes from humanity's disconnection from its own experience. You've been taught to suffer, in effect. You've had experiences that were unpleasant, and through what we call mind control, language, the way you've been taught here in various institutions, you have a recall that goes on within your structure that replays the experience of suffering well beyond its taking place. So humanity is not used to staying in the present moment with its emotional responses. It holds on to information, negating the pattern of expansion and repeating patterns that don't serve it. And this is truly what's happened here. So we know as a collective that you have many things going on here on your planet that are not of the highest regard. And the spiral continuum that was discussed previously is an advanced technology to assist humans in revisiting things with a new consciousness to continue to transmute them and expand. What that requires is a present moment focus with what's happening and allowing that emotional response to express in the moment without carrying it into the next. So when we speak of neutrality, which is a concept that we speak of very often as we address these questions, we really want to apply that to humans as they're going through this transition. Much of what you see happening on your planet is an announcement in falsehood. In other words, your media structures, for example, have adapted themselves to repeating patterns of suffering to keep humanity very singularly focused and in its own suffering. When you have neutrality, it's an ability to vision into your outer world and discern through your own perception and intention what you choose to create next. It is not disregarding what's happening. It is seeing what's happening as the evolution through time, just like that pain that is announcing itself in the body as a transition to something unknown. And there is much transition through the unknown taking place for you right now. We hold the hope and we hold the faith for humanity to get to the other side of this, but we have to stress that you are vibrational creators. So if you are continuing to pay attention or place currency on the suffering that's taking place on your planet without balancing that in some way with a perception of hope or a creation or an output into timelines that are negating those that are in a state of suffering, there is no ability for humanity to move through this spiral continuum and create in physical, because everything that manifests in physical has its root in some vibrational potential. We have the ability to see those vibrational potentials, and what we wish to say from our ninth dimensional vantage point is that there are many potentials humanity is already creating that are in your best interest. It is now just matching those. So it becomes a subtle interplay with what truly is my reality and what do I want to invest my currency in. And this is what we speak of when we speak of neutrality. It is seeing what's happening. It is understanding that what's happening is only a small fraction of what's going on vibrationally beneath the surface.
Does the entire collective understand humor?
We believe humor is the basis of all vibrational creation. Humor in itself is formed through a technology that humans understand as the emotional body. And humor is something that we resonate with as a collective because we understand that it is the proponent of energetic alignment with physical potentials. Anytime that you're in a state of humor, what you're able to do is not necessarily negate your reality, but transmute it into a new perspective. And that's a very valuable tool.
So, with that answer to the previous question about humor, then I will ask this one, which is, why are the answers so complicated?
We are speaking in vibrational terms, and the communication that comes through this conduit is geared not only for the understanding, but the absorption of the information vibrationally. So we're using words, we're using terms, we're using a language that is known by your internal or vibrational structure to evoke some type of timeline shift. That doesn't necessarily mean that in the moment your consciousness is grasping it in the way that you so desire. For example, anyone who is a part of this collective transmission is receiving something very unique. The question or the answer to the question may seem very linear or singular, but there are many different individuals with many different interpretations and unique structures coming to this transmission. It requires the language to enable a leveling of the playing field, in other words, vibrationally, such that everyone takes away their unique understanding and can apply it in their own life.
So speaking of timelines and staying right here, was the shift between Obama directly to Trump any indication of a serious change in our timeline? It wasn't gradual, it was direct.
Absolutely. You are always manifesting the beings on your planet to carry out the activities that are best aligned to what the potentials show. In other words, you believe that you are voting in a president through a physical means, but actually your energetic vibration is forming a potential timeline. And when that potential timeline receives enough currency or attention from many beings, it will manifest into a physically grounded experience. And this is what we see with your presidency. Many believe that this president is actually causing harm or creating realities that are not in humanity's best interest. But what you must understand is that there is an awakening process taking place within this timeline, and that those beings that are now paying close attention to what many of your government agencies and conduits have been creating for a lineage of time are enabling a shift to take place again very vibrationally. So was it a timeline shift? You're always making timeline shifts. This one was felt very dramatically and will continue to feel very dramatic to, or significant, we would say, to humanity, because the potentials that you're playing out required a conduit of this nature in this time.
So who is in control of humanity? We feel that there is something controlling this planet. Who is it?
We are the Pleiadians, and we want to answer this question in several different ways, because what humans don't consider is that they operate through several different perspectives. There's a soul vibration or a soul container, which is your singular experience. There's a collective vantage point or a higher self container, which is your human race as a one. And there's an oversoul experience, which is your cosmic or galactic families. What's happened here through time is that your soul vibration was tuned to collectively connect and create a reality. But because there were many, as we discussed, beings and collectives that had been able to access Mother Earth through her crystalline core, humanity has been receiving information that has not allowed it to implement these other containers. In other words, become more collectively focused, remember its galactic citizenship or history. Who is running the planet is a difficult question for us to answer, because these timelines that you're on are in all of these different perspectives. As you know, you have your own reality. You have relationships, you have work, you have friendships, you have all of these things that you do on a day-to-day basis. We believe that the soul vehicle, the soul container, creates your own reality. And these relationships that you have, the work that you do, what you magnetize, your partnerships. But collectively on your planet, what you have to understand is that everything that soul container is experiencing is having an effect on what's happening globally, on what's happening upon your planet. So the way you interact with your relationships, the way that you perceive your work, they all resonate in a field of one. And that field of one is matching collective potentials. Now, is it safe to say that humanity is creating its own reality? Or is it safe to say that there's a reptilian consciousness that's driving that creation? We would say both. Right now, what's happening is there are times in which humanity is matching higher dimensional potentials through its own soul experience because it's ascending. And we see beneficial timelines that are being created that are now grounding this new grid energy. But we still see a stronghold through this reptilian energy that is holding humanity back and creating potentials in the collective that are a repeat pattern of what you've experienced before. And you can clearly see how this is taking place. You can see the new earth that is forming, and you can vision into the old earth at the same time. So creation inherently is a facet of collective energy through the singular experience. But in saying that, we have to conclude that through time, your singular experience has been hijacked. And it has been hijacked by a reptilian consciousness.
Wow. Michaela, can we do a little overtime with the council?
Sure.
I can't stop this right now. I think that would be illegal in most states to cut off this conversation right now. So I just need the council's, the collective's time, maybe about another 10 minutes. Can we do that right after the break?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. I'm just having a great time, and I've got so many questions here from everybody. So let's do that. Let's do a little overtime with Michaela. I am your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. Stay with us.
Listen to my boy, Jimmy Church, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
So you went to dinner last night, you had your favorite pasta. Ugh. Or maybe you had a heavy, spicy meal and it left you. Ugh. GetTheT.com. Maybe you mowed down a huge steak and your plumbing is all plugged. Ugh. GetTheT.com. Our super strength tea will take care of your occasional. Ugh. It's all organic and non-GMO. Get rid of. Ugh. We have so many great supplements, but our super tea is number one. GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of fade to black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Hey, can we talk about something serious for a minute? Your age. Getting old has its perks. But remember, being a few years younger, you know, your hair was thicker, you didn't have so many wrinkles, that extra weight wasn't haunting you, and you just felt better. Well, we can't turn back the clocks and go back 10 or 15 years, but you can start feeling and looking 10 or 15 years younger with Nature's Youth RSF. It's a doctor-formulated daily supplement that helps your body maintain its peak performance and fight the aging process. Imagine sleeping better, looking better, and feeling better. See how Nature's Youth RSF has helped thousands of people just like you at nature'syouth.com. nature'syouth.com. The holidays are coming. Imagine how it will feel when your family and friends are asking you what you did to look so good. Your secret will be Nature's Youth RSF. It's time to start looking better and feeling better. Learn more and order your Nature's Youth RSF at nature'syouth.com. That's nature'syouth.com.
Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JChurchRadio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What an amazing show so far tonight. Doing a little overtime with our guest, Michaela Sheldon. She will be at Soltech with us up at ECETI in August, and you can go to soltechgathering.com for tickets and info. We're only selling 300, so there's going to be 300 of us together wearing Fade to Black shirts up at ECETI Ranch. Michaela, thank you so much for doing a little overtime with us, and are you ready to continue?
I'm ready. Yeah, of course.
Okay. This is interesting. So many of us hear information that may be a little complicated. Is there going to be a door? Is there something that is going to open that will help us understand all of this?
Yeah, the Pleiadians will explain this. So in regards to the transmission that's coming through, we want to ground this understanding for you as humans, because when there's an interaction with an interdimensional being or a collective such as ourselves, what's happening is the transmission that's coming through is being revealed, interpreted in sound and light by the conduit of our choosing. In other words, there are many that we have agreements with who are transmitting our information as they are interpreting it through their own consciousness. It comes through in sound waves. And those sound waves, as humans define them, are words. They are language. They can also be interpreted as sounds or tones, for example. But nonetheless, when they are received by any human structure, they are always working individually and uniquely within you to allow you to accept new information that might already be present in your field. So in other words, as you are experiencing this transmission right now, the question that you have asked is already being answered, because within you, there are alignments being made, there are adjustments taking place. And they may not be in direct relationship to the information that's come through. For example, some of those who have been a part of this transmission may wake up the next morning to a new ability, or a change in a timeline, or a realization about their own truth that is coming from this information, but nonetheless may not seem as if it's related. So what we ask is that humanity does not get caught up in the terms of consciousness or the transmissions that are coming through, that the deep understanding doesn't come from your relationship to the information. It comes from your receiving of the vibration.
We experience lives filled with synchronicity. We are on the path. Yet, why is it that some of us can receive messages from our guides, while it seems like some others have our guides on mute? Why is that, and how can we change this?
Okay, and yes, the Pleiadians want to speak to this, and they say that humans are built as receivers. Every part of your energetic structure holds a similar technology to any other human. However, because you come in as a unique soul experience to the collective, you are interpreting that technology through your own energetic abilities. The way in which we want to discuss this has more to do with patterns in relationship to synchronicities than it does the visceral experience of your guides, teachers, and masters, because we feel that as humans that are evolving, what's beginning to happen is that visceral response is beginning to transition into your own experience. In other words, these guides, these masters, these teachers, these beings that you so desire to have a visceral response from are showing up as the self, because ultimately you're a part of the collectives that are coming forward. These master teachers are not singular in nature. They are collective vibrations, and you are one with that collective vibration. When you are
I'm sorry. I don't want to interrupt the Pleiadian Council.
No, that's okay. Just want to talk about synchronicities. I want to talk about synchronicities really quick. And they want to bring it in as an example with numbers. Many humans see repeating numbers, for example, and these repeating numbers will come to them at times of ascension. They're always searching for the meaning in these synchronicities or repeating numbers, but essentially what they are seeing are patterns of their own ascension. They are confirmations of things that are going on within. It's important that humanity pay attention to their thoughts, their emotions, their experiences when these synchronicities happen, because they are either confirming or denying something that's going on internally within you. Okay?
Yes, and since the Pleiadians are up, is there any connection with the Pleiadians to Norse gods or Norse myths?
Yes. There are many ancient Pleiadians who have been a part of your Earth experience, who are here as ancient teachers. They came first to seed the Earth with intergalactic or interdimensional information. And because they did this, they were ones that had the wisdom or knowledge to teach many of the ancient tribes and some of the original humans about how to utilize these ancient resources. Some of these teachings involved using the multigalactic energies that were present on Earth as vehicles for time travel or vehicles for healing, for example. Many of us show up as ancient gods, teachers, or wisdom keepers throughout society or humanity, even not only in ancient Pleiadian form, but in Pleiadian hybrid human form. Because when we manifested here into this density, we had to change our physical and non-physical form to adapt to how humanity was structured. And this allowed us to have the resonance to connect with many humans and relay some of these teachings.
How do we know if those numbers are confirming or denying?
Yes, we will give you the process. When you are seeing perhaps a repeating number in your experience, it is important to be in the present moment, in the here and now, with what your thought process was just prior to seeing that number. Perhaps, for example, you were having a thought that was confirming your own ascension. It was something that was supportive of you or creative in your energy. This number pattern is just an extension of your own ascension, confirming that you are on the right path, or that what you are thinking, what you are believing about the self is a vibrational creation that holds merit or weight within your soul imprint. However, if in that present moment you have a thought, an emotion, an experience, perhaps of the past, of something that you were struggling through or had significant suffering around, and negating your own value, this number pattern is showing up for you to make a quick correction to allow you to get back on the ascension path. These synchronicities show up because they are opportunities for us to ascend. We tap into these patterns as a recognition of our own soul pattern, showing us the way back to source energy. So if you're always in the present moment when you're experiencing these number patterns with your thoughts, your emotions, and your process, it will help you to either confirm or deny the next step in your reality.
Is Bigfoot Arcturian?
The Arcturians step in and they want to say that Bigfoot is actually a hybrid relationship to many different races, not just Arcturian. However, they wish to say that the Arcturian dynamic genome exists within this structure and is held in a specific relationship to its ability to manifest in physical form and shapeshift. The Arcturians are very predisposed, again, to patterns and the way energy flows through different dimensional realities. These Bigfoot energies that have manifested here on your planet in physical form are actually very adept shapeshifters, and this comes from their connection to their Arcturian DNA. So they're very predisposed to remembering that Arcturian DNA and utilizing it through their structure. However, we have to say that they've evolved through many dimensional realities and hold the DNA of several different races, not just Arcturian. And there is also human DNA that exists as a part of their structure.
Yeah, I want to thank the Arcturians for that answer. That was my question. Now, is there a way to take advantage of the granular nature of space-time to further our spiritual and mental growth?
Yes, the council will come in to speak to this. When you're referring to the granular nature of space and time, we equate this to the information that vibrates in your record. In other words, space-time is an energy that holds information as consciousness, as light. So any meditation practice, for example, is allowing your vibration to match in the field through the direction of your intention, anything that exists in that time-space continuum. So absolutely, there is access that is enabled when you are able to work within your technology to utilize what exists within the universe through, they say, through the intermixing or interconnection of your DNA with these timelines, because it's a vibrational match. And they just want to speak to a little process here. And they say that within your DNA, you actually hold the ability to tap into a variety of galactic experiences existing in real time. For example, you right now in this physical body have a Pleiadian timeline elsewhere in the universe that exists in the record. And what if in that Pleiadian timeline, you were some type of a brilliant healer working within the emotional frequencies of humanity, coming to the earth and manifesting in a hybrid form and teaching humanity aspects of itself. This is available to you in that time-space continuum. It operates as a part of your DNA and draws as a magnet what's most relevant to you in this timeline. It would be impossible for humanity to tap into all of the record. And that's why we say that access is very limited to your DNA, because within your DNA you have specific, we'll call it intentions that you come with that gravitate toward or magnetize sets of information in the field. But this is absolutely a precursor to the new human that we see forming on your earth, being able to tap in and utilize the record to transmute your own physical experience or actually activate or accentuate your own experience.
Are there groups? No, I'm sorry. The groups today that are insisting on their narrative of disclosure is the correct one. Who do we believe? Or is this individual group narrative for disclosure a psyop and disinfo and misleading our community?
This is the council, and we want to explain in detail what we see happening here. Humanity's definition of disclosure has become very linear and physically focused, and it has been operating in an old grid. It's hard to imagine where you stand now wanting something so beautiful to take place on your planet, yet forcing it through an old grid potential. But this is exactly what we see happening. You see, all of these different truths that you perceive as having to be in alignment with one experience are actually all realities that are fighting against each other, slowing the timeline of disclosure. Because when humanity is separating itself into factions or groups, you're negating the collective energy that is actually pulling and drawing more of your interdimensional experience to you. And we want to give you an example of this. As we've been talking about throughout this transmission, history, the information that you so desire to appear on your planet, isn't hidden from you. It just exists in another dimension that you as a consciousness do not match or have access to. So the only way or means to release this information to the earth is to continue to ascend your consciousness. But if you are using your currency to try to disprove or prove a specific truth, you're slowing the speed in physical to achieving the relationship to non-physical in which that information resides. So when you have a very significant disclosure event on your planet, for example, something appears in Antarctica that hasn't appeared there for many, many years on your planet. This is not because humanity forced something in physical. It is because your vibration reached the calibration of matching that information as it was held in the record. And so we see all of this not necessarily as a psyops or something that plans to keep humanity singular. We still believe that this reptilian consciousness that's operating through your singular structure is bringing the ego into this relationship to information such that it's keeping it in a singular platform. And that platform doesn't go anywhere. We want to remind you about the old grid and how it was segmented from universal support. So when you find disclosure activities happening at the level of singular egoic structure, you can be assured that they're not receiving the information they need or the validation that they need from intergalactic sources. Yet, humanity staying in neutrality to these things and offering, we'll say, a new perspective about multiple truths allows more information to be disseminated here in a way that is fluid with who you are becoming.
What an answer. Now, I want to thank all of the councils and collectives for allowing us to ask these questions, and thank you for that. And next, Michaela, how are you right now? I'm
good.
Are you good? Okay, I want to share this with you. Okay, this was just posted. This is from Eddie. And Eddie says this, holy bleep. Okay, either Miss Sheldon has an advanced degree in physics or she just answered a question she couldn't have. Granular space is a cutting-edge theory at the moment, and she nailed that answer without hesitating.
Wow. Thank you. I am not a quantum physicist.
No, do you remember?
Very far from it.
Do you remember the question or the answer?
I don't.
See,
I have
that's
to be
amazing.
Honest. I will get fragments of it back the next day, and I get the overall gist, but I can't remember the specifics.
So much fun. And during one of the breaks, I went down the hall into Rita's studio. And I said, do you know what that campfire is going to be like up at ECETI, sitting around under the stars with Michaela? She just laughed. But I really, really look forward to our time up there. Now, really quick, before I let you go, where can everybody reach out to you? What's the easiest way to do that?
Oh, MichaelaSheldon.com is my website. You can contact me there. And if you're looking for all of my videos, AwakenEmpoweredExpo.com houses all of my YouTube videos. And there's so many channelings out there to tap into.
Do you, I've gone and watched a lot of your stuff. Do you, I don't do it. I don't watch myself, but do you go back and watch some of those sessions?
I have to. I have to admit that was the one thing that I really had the hardest time with. I hated watching myself. I hated listening to myself. But I have to write up a YouTube description, and I have to make sure I don't sound too crazy when I put this stuff out. But you know what? It's the best thing I've ever done because it makes me a more solid believer in what's going on. Because when I watch my channelings back, I'm often blown away with what comes through me. And it really just strengthens my faith, you know, in letting go and just trusting the process more and more.
Do you, okay, so you have to do that, you know, to start to trust the process. Do you find yourself doubting the process sometimes?
Every day.
Right.
I mean, you know, every day. I think it's good to have a little healthy doubt, but you know, I always have that thought, well, what am I going to say? What am I going to do? But I know that I just need to get out of the way and it all happens. So yeah, I'm still evolving through this. It's good for me to watch my own stuff. It's good for me to have that reassurance that I know, because, you know, like I said, as I hear it coming through, it sounds like a jumbled up mess to me. So if I were to think about this show, I'd think, wow, that was a real mess. But then I listen back to it and I can hear that the guidance is really clear, and it helps me to expand. I'm learning right along with all of you guys. You know, I'm learning from my own channelings, so it's good for me.
Well, and you know what I think for those, including myself, I mean, I always approach everything with my eyes just a little squinted. We have to do that, right? We have to. Mm-hmm. So I like to throw off, and this is with every guest, by the way, throw them off of their game with questions that they've never had before. Right? Mm-hmm. And I need to have that comfort level there. Obviously, I did that with you tonight. There are some out there, and there are some channelers that I think are monologuing it. Is that the right word? You know, I don't want to say script, but maybe repetitive. And so you want to get them out of their comfort zone and see where that goes. And I did that with you a few times tonight, and your answers were wonderful. I don't want you to feel uncomfortable with what I'm saying, but you need that too. You need that so others out there that are listening to you for the first time can go, okay, all right, church did the, okay, all right. You know what I mean? You need that too as well.
Well, I've had some crazy questions thrown at me through the years, and I have to say sometimes I hear the questions and I panic a little bit because I think I don't know how I'm going to answer this, but as I'm thinking that, the answer's coming through. So, it's really, I mean, I'm a huge skeptic. When I started this journey, it wasn't something I believed in, nor did I want to do, and it's really been a humbling journey for me to, go on faith.
Well, go and enjoy your night's sleep tonight. I hope your dreams are fantastic, and I cannot wait to introduce you to everybody up at ECETI. We're going to have 3 or 4 days of making friends and knowledge and just having a great time. So safe travels out to ECETI, and until then, just be safe.
So excited to be there. Thank you.
Thank you, Michaela. And just enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you so much.
Thanks. You too.
Michaela Sheldon, and her website is michaelasheldon.com. If you go over to jimmychurchradio.com, you can click on the links right there. And her YouTube channel is wonderful, so you can access it also through her site. But the videos, I just find myself listening to every word. And the other part for me, and I hope she's still listening to me right now, the other part for me is I like to watch her and her facial expressions and the way that she goes through the process. It's absolutely fascinating to watch and watch the videos. So go and do that. I encourage everybody to go to the YouTube channel. Again, it is michaelasheldon.com. If you go over to jimmychurchradio.com, Soul Tech is right there. It's soultechgathering.com. And tickets and info are right there. And the journey to ECETI, for me, and I've said it so many times, I'll say it again, it was a bucket list for me. It had been there for years and years. And it's that for everybody else. You've heard so much about ECETI. Well, this is the opportunity to go up and not only experience ECETI, but to hang out with all of the other Fadernauts and Rita, myself, the whole team of Fade to Black and Modern Masters. We're all going to be up there. And James Gilliland running around, right? And to go and experience ECETI for yourself. It is an individual experience. And everything that you've wanted to pursue or question or experience, you can do that not only up at ECETI, but with friends by your side. And we're going to break bread and hang out for 4 straight days of learning up at ECETI Ranch at the Soul Tech Gathering. So with that, I want to thank Michaela Sheldon for another wonderful conversation tonight. Maybe we'll get her on one more time before the Soul Tech Gathering. And tomorrow night here is open lines all night long. John Rappaport and his No More Fake Newsroom, and then followed by open lines. There are so many things that are going on right now in our world that when I finally get through another week here on Fade to Black and I'm able to get to the phones on a Thursday night, it culminates into being my favorite night of the week because I get to interact with all of you. All right, so we'll be doing that tomorrow night, open lines all night long. In the meantime, between tomorrow night and right now, go and register, sign up, and get your OnStellar experience going. It's very simple, alpha.onstellar.com. Simple enough. The registration process is very easy. Go and get it going, because right after the show tonight, I'm headed straight over to OnStellar. I've got all of those messages. I was responding to everybody between the show tonight during the commercial breaks. But go and register and go and experience everything that we are talking about, not only on the show, but what OnStellar represents today. I want to hang out with all of you tomorrow during the day. With that, I'm going to get out of here. It's another great episode of Fade to Black and Michaela Sheldon. michaelasheldon.com. Fade to Black's executive producer is Rita Kamurian. Show is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee. Thank you, Dennis, Bob. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vito, and Mark D. Kovar. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldridge. Intro, Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network, and syndication is KGRA, The Planet. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2018 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. You can follow me on Twitter right now at JChurchRadio. Until tomorrow night, Fader night, open lines all night long. Everybody be safe. Go Beckley Tepe.